Today is the 4th of July, the day that Americans celebrate the birth of the United States of America, July 4th, 1776. But today, I'm not talking about that. Today, I'm going to be talking about Hamilton. I'm John Barry, and this is my review of Hamilton. So, Hamilton's been out since 2015. So, why am I talking about it now? Well, because yesterday on July 3rd, Hamilton finally got a non-theatrical release. Actually, correction, a non-theater release. We can't call it a theatrical release, even though it was a theater production. It's not a movie theatrical release, no. But what we got to see on Disney Plus was basically a recording of the actual performance of Hamilton by the original Broadway cast. So, today, I'm talking about it. But before we go into that, yesterday I put out a video, my review of Captain America, the First Avenger. I encourage you to go check it out. I moved it from when I planned so it would fall on the day before 4th of July. And then I will have this video today. But let's actually talk about Hamilton. You know, he's a $10 founding father, though. You know, he wrote the Federalist Papers, which defended the United States Constitution, and so much more. Not only is Alexander Hamilton himself a very interesting guy, but the production of Hamilton is spectacular. It really is. There's other people out there who can really break down the music way better than I could, but I can tell you this. This I can tell you without a doubt. The music is superb. It enhances the storytelling. In fact, if you pay attention, you can notice changes in genre to convey tones. Like, Hamilton is considered a rap hip-hop musical. But really, I think at least at one point nearly every single genre of music is used. King George, the character King George, sings with British pop style, so sing something along the lines of the Beatles. Then we have Thomas Jefferson in his first song where he's singing in jazz, which is kind of the predecessor of the pop music style genre that is hip-hop and rap nowadays, kind of associated with the African-American community more so, but then it starts to get wider acceptance, and so it's considered a bit more outdated, which kind of fits in nicely with the song where he's back after being in France, and he's singing about what he missed. And there's so much more we can break down and discuss and get minute details for the song. Another one, Farmer Refused, I believe it is. That the farmer there is singing in much more classical style for theater. But the style that Alexander Hamilton is singing and refuting him is overpowers his style. It is just neat how not only while there's one overarching genre that you can classify Hamilton in musical theater as, but you can notice these other elements of different genres thrown in that I feel enhance the story. Granted, I'm going to those are just my uninformed thoughts. Actually, there are some informed. I've watched videos and read things about how other people have interpreted the music of Hamilton. So I am somewhat informed, but that's my non-experience in that field's thoughts. That's probably the best way. But I'm a history major, so probably I should be talking about my review of Hamilton from the perspective of a historian. Well, first of all, let's just lay this on the bones. Any production, whether it be film, TV, theater, book, whatnot, nearly every time you put history into modern media, there's always going to be decisions about what to include, what not to include, how to include it. There's always going to be the chances of inaccuracies and all that stuff popping up. And you know what? Hamilton does have a few of them. Most of them, though, are for good story-based reasons. Such as, let's just take when Hamilton meets, Lafayette, not necessarily Edinburgh, but he's kind of important in that scene in Hamilton. And let's see, Tom Lawrence, I think? Lawrence, and Hercules Mulligan. They did not all meet one night in a bar, or a tavern, as they probably would have called them back then. So they did not all meet at that one moment. But, for the purpose of the narrative that Hamilton is forming, that's what they do. And a good historical narrative that tells the story of history, there's always going to be some artistic license, of course, but the changes they make from history will make sense to tell the story that they are trying to tell, as long as it does not tell a message counter to the actual history. That's how I look at any kind of historical production of any form, no matter what media it is from. And Hamilton, I was talking about that one scene, but Hamilton overall does a good job at staying true, I think, to the history. It tells the story of Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Those are the two stories we largely focus on. While it is tied to Hamilton, Aaron Burr, he is that supporting member. Like, he is as important to Hamilton as Hamilton is to Hamilton. That's how important Aaron Burr is. I've seen some people make the argument that Aaron Burr is actually the main character we follow, and in some ways there is some truth to that. He's the one who introduces us to Alexander Hamilton at the start of the production, and he's there at the end of the production as well. But notice, it's Eliza who is actually the final one singing in Hamilton, not Aaron Burr, which I think just tells you a few other things. Oh, and me mentioning Eliza just reminded me of two more scenes about kind of genre thing. First of all, acapella is used in a couple of spots, but most notably at the end. And acapella is a kind of its own genre in its own, though acapella is probably more than any other genre can flux between other genres. But most so is the scene where Hamilton gets a letter from Lawrence's father letting Hamilton know that Lawrence had died at the end of the Revolutionary War. That is that's like the only spot in Hamilton where there is no singing. Hamilton and Eliza, they're speaking. They're actually speaking, not singing. And that's kind of impressive because in musical theater, I've seen plenty of productions. There's always some spoken lines here and there. And the songs are big set pieces to hammer something home that was either just spoken or something like that. Something along those lines. But what Hamilton does is it truly 100% uses the music to tell the story. And Hamilton really does do that. It uses the music to tell its story. Next week I'm going to be reviewing another patriotic musical, 1776. And that's an older patriotic music. I believe it follows John Adams more so than Hamilton. And actually Hamilton does reference a song from 1776, so that's pretty neat. I haven't watched it yet, but when I do my review of that, I will be talking about it in reference to Hamilton. So expect that either Wednesday or Friday of next week. But getting back to Hamilton, because I got so many more thoughts I just have busting to come out, and I probably won't get through all of them at all. But transitioning away from some of the other things I'm talking about, let's talk about one thing that I am very impressed and happy that Hamilton as a production did. They did not focus just on Hamilton's strengths. They focused on his strengths, his weaknesses, his moral failures, his moral strengths, everything. Like a few years ago, maybe a decade or two ago, however time, but it's not often you see protagonists portrayed with their faults exposed all to bear. But Hamilton does that. We learn not only about Hamilton's strengths and weaknesses, but his failures. We learn about his affair. We learn about how he was kind of brash, and that he butted heads with nearly everyone he came to meet at one point or another. We learn about Hamilton not only as a historical figure and a founding father, but also as a person. And even Aaron Burr, our history textbooks, what do we know Aaron Burr for? For shooting Alexander Hamilton. And we learn more about Aaron Burr in Hamilton than we probably do in our textbooks. We learn more about both characters than our textbooks probably often include, because we focus on, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison. Speaking of which, Madison is in Hamilton as well. But we focus on those people, and Benjamin Franklin. We don't always focus on people like Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton, who were equally as important to founding the founding United States of America as our founding fathers were. And probably some of them we should actually tell their story more than some of the others. Whether because, we need to aspire to be more like them. I think in some cases, Alexander Hamilton, we do need to live up to some of the stuff that he's talking about, stand up for what we believe in. But at times, sometimes it's better to be the Aaron Burr out there who, steps back and, smile more, talk less, smile more. Don't let them know what you're against or what you're for, unquote. Sometimes that's better too, just to play more of a bystander role. But sometimes you need to be Alexander Hamilton. You're in there debating and letting what's known be known. And so these other founding fathers that we don't always pay attention to because they never became president, we probably should be paying more attention to. Hamilton's probably the one that we pay the most attention to now, and but because of Hamilton, but there's probably thousands of others out there that we probably should be paying more attention to. And a big theme in Hamilton is legacy. We get a couple of songs talking about it, and there's this line that's often repeats, who lives, who dies, who tells your story. Legacy is a very important part of Hamilton. It's basically what Hamilton and Burr to an extent were building throughout their arcs in the narrative. And what do we get? Their story ends with their duel. That is their legacy. Their duel is what everyone knows to be their legacy. But that's the small part of it. Yes, it's mentioned in the first song at the end, and then it's mentioned in the second to last song of the last act. That bookends the story, but here in Hamilton we explore so much more about the legacies, especially for Hamilton. We really do learn more about Hamilton than probably ever. And of course, Eliza Hamilton does play a very important part in this legacy thing. Because, when Hamilton's affair came to light, she burned a lot of his letters, and who knows what history was lost because of that. But at the same time, we then our book end where Eliza reinserts herself back into the narrative after she, takes herself out of the narrative. And we learn more about her legacy, which is in a sense was to live up to Hamilton's legacy in some regards. But legacy is a very important part, and who lives, who dies, who tells your story is very important because really, until Lin-Manuel Miranda came around, Hamilton's story was more of a footnote rather than probably something we should be paying more attention to. Not only should we credit Lin-Manuel Miranda for telling both Hamilton and Burr's story, but also for showing Eliza's story and many other characters, and probably parts of the entire founding of our country and the Revolutionary War story that we don't always consider. We should credit him for that, because some of the stuff that was brought to light or just reinforced was stuff that was just footnotes in a history book. And it's important to know history. It really is. We are in a time in America where, we are still struggling to stand up for basically all the stuff that our founding fathers wrote. What's in the Constitution, what defends the Constitution, the Federalist Papers, all that. We are still struggling in that in our country. And some of the stuff we have not lived up to. There's so many things. I think I just have to conclude this review somewhere. So, I think just a few things to reiterate. Once again, Hamilton is awesome as a person and as a production. The music is spectacular and really does enhance the storytelling. Hamilton as a production tells a story that probably we would not have necessarily got at other times in American history. Additionally, Hamilton tells us the stories of legacy and what that means. So, thank you for watching. I know this was a long review, and there's probably so much more I would love to discuss, but we can do so in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts by any of the points I brought up in relation to Hamilton, or something I didn't bring up that you think deserves mention? There is a lot we can bring up. And there's a lot to discuss, and I hope we can get a great discussion going down in the comment section. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, or dislike it if you didn't. But how can you not like Hamilton? But moving on from that, please do consider checking me out on social media, Facebook and Twitter. Links are in the description. And also feel free to join my Discord server if you would like to chat. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel for all that I do. And feel free to check out the video or the playlist on screen now. And as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye!